Hey, what's going on? I'm Devin,
I'm Jeff.
and we are Basic Bros Reaction. Hey, what's going on? It is Basic Bros Reactions, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We actually had one of our subscribers write in a comment.
RTD shout out.
Yes, that we should actually do this reaction to check out because we have done a lot of reactions to Little Mix, and recently with everything that's been going on with Black Lives Matter and everything like that, Leanne from Little Mix kind of went live on Instagram and just kind of talked about her experience with racism and just different things like that. And so we thought that it would be interesting to kind of bring it up and watch the video and kind of discuss a little bit of insight and just kind of react to it a little bit because we are big fans of Little Mix, and like you said, this has been a big issue that's happened and has come to light recently, and so we thought that it was an important subject to touch base on. And you know, with our channel we do generally try to kind of keep it lighthearted and whatnot, but we are not afraid to dive into deeper issues. I mean, I know in some of our videos we talked about like mental health and just in random reactions and whatnot. So as much as we like to keep things lighthearted, we also think that it's important to not be afraid to discuss and tackle real issues that are going on, not only within K-pop and whatnot, but just in the world in general, that especially with the artists and idols that we react to. So yeah, a little nervous kind of coming into this because I have not seen the video or anything like that, and so this is going to be interesting to kind of hear her perspective about things and everything. So all right, well, without further ado, we will get into this reaction in 3, 2, 1.
When I speak about my experiences with racism, I get really sad and I get upset, and I can never really say what I want to say, so I feel like I've written it down and I'm supposed to speak what I say. Last year, I decided to open up about being one of the 4,000 evidence and how my race affected my experiences. From that interview, some people sympathized, some said nothing, but one thing I took from that experience is the world do not care enough about race. Since then, I have tried to use my platform to raise awareness of matters such as racism. At this moment, I feel for the first time in my life, racism is a topic of conversation and how the world attention. We cannot see this as a moment. This has to be a movement that is a system designed to oppress us in word and law, and we are seen as equal to our white counterparts. This is not something that can happen overnight. Black people have been oppressed for over 400 years. 400 years later, we see still our black brothers and sisters being shot down and treated less regard than everyone else. My parents are both mixed race. Both my grandfathers came to England for the Holocaust generation, and both married white women in a time where interracial relationships were extremely frowned upon. Growing up, me and my sisters never saw race as being a limitation of what we wanted to achieve. Our grandparents were raised children in the 60s, we could do anything. One thing is worth doing is speaking on racism. Too often, black people are reminded how far we have come as opposed to how far we have gone. In doing this, we speak on racism. Think about it, if you ever invite people to be thankful about how far they have come to race. There comes a point in every black human's life shut down the reality next week. My reality is being lonely while from the right countries. I say to friends who don't see me or hear me or cheer me on. My reality is feeling anxious before parents and silence because I always work on a East Haven. My reality is constantly feeling like I have to work 10 times harder and longer to mark my place in it, but because of my talent alone isn't enough. My reality is wanting to see other artists who I know are so talented, but we don't get the opportunity I've had because of the industry we're not masterful. But they will get behind someone else or the aspects of that culture the world wants to see, but leave behind the aspects they will make it unmasterful. My reality is all the time I felt invisible within my group, part of me is fully aware that my experience will be even harder to cope with and I will last it. Our reality is no matter how far you think you have come, racism exists. It exists in sports, in creative industries, in politics and policies, in the streets and in the hearts of racist individuals. We are no longer in a position where we need to be quiet on this matter. So let's all continue to speak up on racism and keep this movement going. Thank you.
So you go first, Devin.
Yeah, that was really heavy, but totally get where she's coming from. From like an entertainment point of view, I kind of remember a situation that really kind of helped shed light to me because I wasn't a huge Fifth Harmony fan, but I kind of remember checking out Fifth Harmony and being a decent fan because Normani was in the group, and I remember when a thing happened where she did an interview and she called Camila like Porky or something like that, and then all of Camila's fans just like attacked her, calling her the N-word, doing pictures of her like as a monkey and all this stuff, and it got so bad where like she had to put Twitter and everything like that. So it like broke my heart to kind of see like that this was like the stuff that these musical acts are in these multicultural groups have to deal with and put up with, and feeling that kind of like less than. Because for me, I haven't really talked much publicly about like the issue and whatnot, which is I've learned has been kind of part of the problem is that growing up, it was kind of expected that you're going to deal with racism. And so it's kind of like when it happened to me or and whatnot, it wasn't like a big deal because it was like I literally, when you're younger, we're kind of taught like you're going to deal with these type of people. Not everybody thinks like that, but that's what's going to happen because I've been talking to some of my close friends about like just different things, and they were just like really shocked because they were like, we didn't even know that you went through stuff like that. And it was kind of like, well, I was like, I literally just, it wasn't a big deal to me because I just kind of grew up just expecting it. I talked about stuff even from like a childhood because I was in honors program that was with majority with white kids and everything. And I remember, and this is like when I was like younger, third, fourth grade, and none of the kids really treated me different or anything, but sometimes when I go study with their kids' parents or be at the house with the parents, and they'll be like, oh, you speak so well and you're just so, and I didn't like, being young like that, you don't really think about it. So I finally, one time I went and asked my mom and grandma, I was like, why does everybody keep telling me like I speak well or I dress well or whatnot? And because I couldn't, at that young age, I couldn't understand. And I was like, I'm in an honors program, like how would you expect me to speak? Like, and that's when it was kind of like, they kind of talked to me about like the whole like, racism, and kind of had that in-depth talk with me. So it's kind of like, even from an early age, it's kind of like ingrained to you, even in not an in-your-face way where people will necessarily always just, you know, say bad things about you, but even how they treat you or their expectations of you are already lower and whatnot. And so when she was talking about, she said you have to be like, you have to work 10 times as hard as, you know, somebody else that's, you know, that's white and whatnot. Like, I totally agree with that too, because that's how I grew up too. It's like I remember like my mom telling me you have to work twice as hard to get where you need to be at and everything. And at the time, I didn't quite, kind of like she said, I kind of got it, but I didn't get it until, you know, you start to experience it and whatnot. And like I said, it's just stuff that goes on, because even like a year ago, it's just blatant racism that I experience is, I used to do obstacle course racing, and I used to be like, actually like fairly legit in it, like was world qualified and everything. And so I would run this trail that was right by my house. And one time I was running and I saw that somebody had painted on the back of a sign, like one of the yield signs or something like that, in like the little trail, die inward.
God.
And like that like freaked me out, and I was like, and it like there was like such a mix of emotions and whatnot, but it actually made me change where like I didn't run for a couple weeks because I didn't feel comfortable running on that trail. And I know like it sounds weird because you know it's like you're a grown man, you got these muscles, you're like a big dude, why would you be scared? But like in my mind it's like, what if somebody's like there waiting to jump me, or what if somebody has like a gun or a knife? Like all the muscles in the world is not going to save you from a bullet or whatnot. Exactly. And it was just like, it was just so crazy because, you know, I was like, this happened like a year ago, and I was like, in my head, I was like, why? Like, you don't really think about like stuff even like that happening in your community. And I was just so, like, I was like, I just not doing anything. I'm just literally running, just trying to train and everything. And it like really kind of like it just really was a reality check about things. And so it's just been crazy. And you see these people being extreme on both sides, and which is whatever. But to me, one of the things too is that like you see some of these people who are saying such like really rude and vile things, and it like sucks because it's like these are the people that I have to interact with. Regardless, I don't have a choice, because these might be people who, if I go to a bar, they're there and they're like, giving me dirty looks, or they're like bumping into me on accident and stuff, or when I go to a rep, some of that stuff where people are saying all these mean things. That's how they really feel, and these are the people that I have to deal with when I'm going to just doing my normal day-to-day things, and they keep that same energy when they're interacting with me. And it's like, so it's just a weird situation.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I wouldn't have even, like, I guess, I don't know, I guess, to me, I don't even know, sometimes I just don't even know if I'm comfortable even saying how I feel, because I feel like I would never know, you know what I mean, like what you go through and all of this. And that's why that's why I don't really say much on the matter, because I feel like I'm not really justified to say anything, but I have my own opinions, I guess. And like what you said with back then when you were younger, and those people that kind of, or the family that probably said like, oh, you speak so well, and it's like, and they probably don't think that they're racist.
Exactly.
It's
and
crazy.
It's not like that is necessarily, I wouldn't say that that's racist, but that is just kind of.
But it is racist. Yeah, they don't, I think that's the problem, is that they don't think it's racist. Like, oh no, like we're not racist, but them thinking that way, it's like subconsciously racist thoughts. And then that's why I think that's why in America, like there's just different layers. There's people that are straight up racist, that are very aggressive, straight up racist. But then there's also like people that don't think they're racist, but they have racist tendencies, the thoughts. And honestly, it might not even really be their fault. It might be how they were brought up. So it's definitely just like layers and layers. Like it's not And that's why it's just so hard for me to kind of talk about it, because it's not black and white. It's
No,
so many
there's so
many
much
layers.
more.
There's just so much.
And
Yeah.
it's just all being brought up to the forefront, and that's why like I appreciate when people can take a moment, and because to me, when in I don't know, I feel like I have like a more open, more kind of slightly more relaxed feel to it. So I try to take people for their actions and not necessarily the words that they say, because I know, especially with today's society, you know, it's really hard for people to, like you were saying, to feel comfortable to even have a discussion, because they feel like if
Your
they
words might be
speak, twisted and everything
yeah.
like that. And so that's why I'm always like, it's more about the intention than necessarily what you're wording, because we all, you know, we do reaction videos. Sometimes we mess up when we say, yeah, but we don't necessarily mean it that way. But we, you know, and so it's kind of looking at the intent of kind of what you're saying as opposed to exactly word for word what you're saying. And
yeah,
whatnot.
and I think that's another thing too, is that like sometimes I am afraid of like saying something because words can get twisted, or like how my intent can be misconstrued. And that's one of the things with culture today, is that, you know, with all these videos surfacing of like Karens and all of this, and you know, it's good that it's coming to light so people can learn from it. But at the same time, I do have some empathy for some of these people, because then their you know, their careers are ruined, all of this, and really all it took is just really a discussion of, you know, like why their actions are, you know, I feel like it should be an educational type of thing, but it really makes me afraid, you know, like in this culture that now, not even with race, but just anyone saying anything wrong, like people are like cancel.
Yes.
I'm like, that is like, I cannot imagine like the mental toll it could take on someone having the whole world cancel you. Like it just, like with Taylor Swift, all of that, like it's so toxic. So it's so scary.
And so it's like you said, it's just really hard to open. And that's why like I just have been like, I
think
talk more to like my friends personally,
yeah.
as opposed to necessarily doing a ton of posts or different things like that, because to me, I would rather have direct conversations where we can like just talk freely about stuff, as opposed to putting it out there where people can misconstrue or take bits and pieces of what's said, because that's what happens a lot too, is people will take clips or take little pieces of stuff and not see the whole big picture, and they won't want to do the research into everything that is going on. They'll just take the little clip notes and run with it, even though there's a lot more to the situation.
Yeah, I think also like, so I think with American society, like with our society, this is just how I see it, is that, because I usually just talk more of like, the only person I really talk to about this is really my husband, you know, how I think, because I think that's the only place I feel really safe. So this kind of, feeling a little nervous. But no, like I feel like with American society, it's just, I feel like it's just so like, I just feel it's just so kind of corrupt with how they deal with racism. Like with news outlets, like they can say, they're so hypocritical. They say one thing, and then, you know, like LeBron James speaking out Black Lives Matter, like, oh, you know, he should shut up and just dribble. Like, what? Like, who are you to say that? I really don't understand. Like, you're untalented, and then later on when a white professional athlete says something, you know, Drew Brees, and like, oh, he's right, like,
to say what he,
then that's the thing, that's why I'm like, and I don't understand, like, I understand freedom of speech, but I'm just like, I don't understand how, as like a news outlet, as a news outlet, you can even have someone up there being so hypocritical that doesn't even have a backbone, like to be consistent with those saying. And the thing is, like I said, people learn, and then, you know, maybe they learned and they're actually appreciating athletes coming out. The thing is, you can go back and say, I misspoke before, I apologize, you know, saying like, you know, Drew Brees is, you know, or whoever, they're entitled to their own opinion, and I apologize in the past, I thought this, but I was wrong, you know what I mean? But it's for you to like not even have a backbone to admit that you're wrong, like, you know what I mean? Like it's so frustrating to me, and it's really frustrating to me. I feel like with people talking, looking at the protests, the riots, and the news, of course the news is going to put like the worst of the worst up there, like, you know, the drama, because that's what people like to see. But I feel like, did you watch Dave Chappelle 846?
I haven't watched. I've seen clips of it.
I would highly recommend anyone to watch that, just because like he really like I feel like he really just put like he really did his research. He really brought up a lot of cases that I wasn't aware of. But he really made a really good argument. Like, you know, people were just like, oh, what do I think? What do I think? And he was like, who cares what I think? Like, you know, like it doesn't give. People don't give a crap about what I think. He's like, I'm seeing it on TV. I'm seeing it in the streets. It's the streets talking for itself. And I hear a lot of arguments of people saying like, oh, it's not right with the riots and all of this. And I'm just like, to me, I'm just like, there again, that's not black and white. You know, there's so many different things happening. Like a lot of it wasn't even, you know, like there's cases where it wasn't even like any like black protesters doing it. It was like white protesters, just different layers of that. So I understand about people arguing, oh, riots and destroying property, blah, 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 all of that. I really understand that, and it's so unfortunate. But at the same time, like I feel like it's hundreds and hundreds of years of oppression, and it's building up, like kindling all these different cases to the point where now it's exploded. So what do you think was going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, of course, like no good person would support a riot or like, you know, destruction of property, people actually dying because of it. But at the same time, like, what do you expect when people are being slaughtered and, you know, like being on a daily, not even being slaughtered with police brutality, or, you know, but it's also, you know, like just the daily things that people experience that I would never know, I would never go through. So that would just take a toll until the point where you would, any reasonable person would just, you know, become frustrated and explode. And this is just not happening this year. This is hundreds of years. So that's why it's just like, people are like, oh, well, you know, it's just not right how they're protesting, and they should be, you know, they should protest more responsibly. Yeah, like I'm sure there's a lot of responsible protests, but at the same time too, like when there is riots because of these deaths that have occurred unjustly, like what do you expect? I don't, you know, like I think that's the thing. Like, do you not expect anything more to happen? Like, you know, because this has happened so many times before and nothing happened. So that's why people are really just angry, you know. So, but that's just my opinion. Like, people are just kind of condemning the movement because they see one little tiny snapshot. I'm like, you need to really see the whole picture.
Whole thing, and and think for yourself, and not be like so
like
swayed by right, because I kind of miss when journalists would actually report on stuff without trying to put their own personal spin on it and just kind of report about what's going on. But it's so crazy that somebody who is arguably one of the biggest girl groups in the world can feel like less than.
Exactly.
And that's just like, that's so crazy. It just goes to show that no matter where you're at, like you have to deal with it.
And that's the thing, and that's what is the problem, is that like you know, like you shouldn't feel that way. Like you shouldn't feel that way, and that's a problem with our society, is that it's designed to, you know, make it harder for people of color, for black people, honestly, because I don't think that I was, you know, I wouldn't deal with a lot of things you would deal with, you know. So I just think that it's so many different layers. It's so many different layers, and I honestly, to me, I just don't even know how you would fix it. Like, it's one of those things that I just don't know how you fix it. Like, because it's definitely a lot of people that one, like evil. I feel like there's the first layer is like really evil people that are like just very racist. People that are kind of like secretly racist, but they don't want to be out there, but then, you know, they have really racial tendencies. There's also people that, you know, they don't probably even realize that they're racist, but they have, you know, they were just maybe kind of brought up with that sort of like negative connotation. You know what I mean? Like the negative connotation with race, and then that's just kind of like, you know, like I guess in like kind of ingrained into themselves where they can't even help themselves, but they probably don't think they're racist, but they do have a tendency to have negative, like racist thoughts, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So there's a lot that goes into it, but just like I was talking to one of my friends, there's because he was talking to me and he was like, well, I just feel like I'm not doing enough, or I don't know, like, and we'll put some links down below of some ways that you can help, whether it be signing petitions or whatnot, because he was like talking about how he hasn't been to a protest and he feels bad and everything like that. But I think even if you can just look within yourself and kind of do a self-evaluation on yourself, that's a start. Because then once you can kind of look within yourself and see some of the things that you have done, and not like you've done bad things, but just to kind of like, oh, well, now I can kind of get empathy and whatnot, because he was talking about how he was talking to his girlfriend's parents and he was explaining stuff, and he finally, after getting into an argument with them, got them to kind of understand. That in itself, that's more than anybody, that is enough. It just starts with you looking within yourself and then kind of making sure that the people that you surround yourself with are kind of on the right track, so to speak, and everything. If you can't do the big gestures of going to protest, and there's like petitions that you can sign, and just little different things. You don't have to be out there, every day protesting or doing, all these big things. It's just, like I said, even if you can just do something within yourself and kind of
like self-reflection. I agree, just because, a lot of people, they might not realize it, but they might have they might not understand. They might be more just ignorant to the issue. And then when you look at the news, you're like, oh, well, that's not the way to change things. And rioting and looting, that's really not even the movement. You know what I mean? That's just the news, putting a spin on something. So yeah, but I think I think it's just definitely so much to say.
Thank you for the suggestion for that video. This was a really really thought-provoking video, and it was a really good discussion that we don't get to do too often. And
definitely props to Leanne for even speaking out, because I'm sure that was very difficult for her to say.
To just kind of put it all out there.
There was also a video from Leona Lewis that she put out that was really good, where she, she encountered it, and when the person found out it was her, she came out to apologize, and then Leona Lewis was like, you're racist, and she was shop owner was like, I'm not racist, and she's like, you're racist, you just racially profiled me, so it's just really interesting to see, because like I said, some people really do not realize that they're racist, they don't realize they have these racial tendencies, and then what they do or what they say affects other people, and it stays with them for the rest of their lives.
Exactly.
I guess shout out Arcady for recommending the video, and I guess let us know in the comments below, I guess, your thoughts. I would hopefully just restrict all of the comments for positive thoughts, because we're definitely not here for any negativity.
We're not trying to do this to make arguments, and we're not trying to make you think or feel one way. We're just trying to express, just a different perspective and whatnot. And you can disagree in a respectful way. Just like like I said, if you want to have, we'll be down there, we'll be willing to do open dialogue with stuff and whatnot, just as long as you remain respectful in your opinion, and that you don't try and just kind of stay on the topic.
Because I think and that's another problem I feel like today, is that there's always people trying to be right and wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Honestly, this is not even about being right and wrong. Like I said, it's not black and white. This is just more of everything is really a gray area, and we're just trying to let you know how how Devin feels, how I feel about the situation. And if you don't feel the same way, that's fine, you know, but we're just trying to let you know
we're just
our
trying to-
perspective.
Yeah, and you know, we're really, like I said, we're willing to talk about it. We're willing
Yeah.
to see other people's perspective, point of view.
I did want to mention, like, shout out to the K-pop industry.
Yeah, they've been, yeah.
They've been very supportive with the movement, and I think at one time they were trending White Lives Matter, and basically they were trolling him with like a meme, like, oh, you know, like basically these white, like, just trying to saturate the White Lives Matter with just like these K-pop memes
Memes
so that
and
they
fan
could,
cams and stuff like
Yeah,
that, so
yeah.
it completely took over. So when you
Yeah.
would go click on it, all you would see would be K-pop
I
stuff.
think
so
even
that-
like Blackpink was very thoughtful too, because I think their fans, they really weren't trying to take away from the Black Lives Matter movement, so they really didn't put much emphasis on like hashtags on like Blackpink's teasers and stuff. So it really is like, it's really nice that people are very thoughtful, like and really trying to pull together for the community and for, you know, for a good cause. So yeah. So I guess, yeah, definitely comment below, and we hope you guys like this video. It's definitely a little bit different than what we've ever done. I honestly, like, I really am very unsure of like what I said. Like, I don't
It's
even know what I
just-
said is
I
right,
mean,
or, you know, I don't know, but especially I just always worry about that. Like, how it's gonna
yeah,
come
it's
off
just
and-
it's really hard, but
Yeah.
we just tried to be as open and as frank as we could with our opinions in a respectful manner. So if we said anything out of line, if we misspoke about something, we apologize, but
Yeah.
we're just like everybody else, we're just trying to process everything and kind of articulate in a great way how we feel about different things
Yeah.
and whatnot. So
Yes, I agree. So yeah, I guess don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button, and then ding the bell so you don't miss any notifications from us. Thanks for tuning in to Basic Bros Reaction.